Okay, this lesson is week 5, day 1. You're going to be using worksheet 131 on the front, homework 131 on the back, and this is going to cover several new prefixes. Okay, now we've done a lot with suffixes all year. Those are added to the end of the word to change the meaning of a word. I just introduced to you several days ago what a prefix is. We, in fact, talked about the prefix pre, which means it comes before, kind of like a pre-game show before a football game or a basketball game. So pre means before. So prefix are letters that you add to the beginning or the front of a word, also to change the meaning of a word. So these prefixes that we're looking at today are going to be added to the beginning of words to change their meanings. Okay. Now, the first set of prefixes we're going to take a look at are a little bit different because when you take a look at these prefixes, they don't necessarily leave a word behind. So they can be a little tricky when you look at them if you're looking for a word left behind when it comes to these. But they are unique, and so it will help you to know them when you read and when you write, so you identify them and you recognize them. And so we're going to cover those today. All right, so let's take a look at some of these prefixes. We have mono, bi, tri, quad or quar, and pent. Okay, now right off the bat, some of those may sound familiar to you, and you might be thinking, oh, those prefixes are used specifically for something. Pause the video right here and see if you can take a look at these and figure out what exactly these prefixes are used when we are used for when we write with them or when we see them in reading. Okay, if you identified that at least a couple of these represent numbers, you would be correct. Not just a couple of these, but all of these represent numbers. Okay, so you might have right off the bat recognized bi, and you might have thought of your bicycle. And when you think about a bicycle, how many wheels does a bicycle have? That's correct, it has 2. Okay, so bi is going to be a prefix that means 2, like a bicycle. Okay, you might have also recognized tri and thought about a triangle or a tricycle, or you might have thought about a trigraph, which is something that we've covered this year. And that might have spawned your memory that tri means number 3. Okay, so anytime we see try or we write try, we are talking about something related to the number 3. Okay, you might not be as familiar with quad or quar. Pent, what might come to your mind with pent is a pentagon. If you know anything about a pentagon, you know that a pentagon has 5 sides. Therefore, prefix pent is related to the number 5. Okay, so we have found a prefix related to the number 2, the number 3, and the number 5. So if you just kind of fill in the spot, then you realize mono is related to number 1, quad, quar is related to number 4. Okay, like a quadrigraph we talked about. Digraph, trigraph, quadrigraph has 4 letters. Okay, quarter, okay? So those relate to numbers. All of these prefixes relate to numbers. So let's take a look at some of the words here that we can find with these. Like, let's do this one. Monolingual. I know that's a big word, lingual, having to do with language. So monolingual means that you use or know only one language. And a lot of us are monolingual. That means we really only know one language. And then several of us are bilingual, meaning we know 2. A lot of us know Spanish and English. So we're bilingual, okay? Bi meaning 2. All right. Now, by bifocals. Bifocals. Focals having to do with being able to see. So bifocals meaning like a pair of glasses that can focus in on two areas. Okay. Tricycle. And we just talked about that one earlier. A tricycle meaning three, or a triangle meaning three sides. Okay. For quad and core, a quadrigraph. And we've talked about a quadrigraph. All right. We underline a quadrigraph. It contains 4 letters. That's why it's called a quadrigraph. And then quarter would be one using the prefix core. Okay, so quad, core go together, meaning 4. Okay, and then pentagon. Pentagon having 5 sides, prefix pent meaning 5. Okay, so you've got mono, which means 1, bi, which means 2, tri, which means 3, quad, prefix quad, which means 4, prefix pent, which means 5. And so those are the numeric ones that we often see when we read and we write for numeric prefixes. Okay? All right, I'm going to erase these, and we're going to take a look at a couple more in this lesson. Okay? Okay, so take a look at these words here and see if you can identify what the prefix in these words might be. Just take a look at that for just a second. See if you can figure that out. Okay, if you identified MIS in all of these words as being the prefix, you are correct. And who remembers what we do to code a prefix? That's correct. You're going to box it. So you box prefix MIS in each of these words. Okay, and we're back to prefixes that there are words left behind. So we pull this away, we're left with fit. Pull this away, we're left with spell. Pull this away, we're left with conduct. So I just wonder if anyone has figured out at this point what prefix miss means. Take the word misspell. If you know what misspell means, then you should have identified what prefix miss means. And if you are guessing that prefix miss means it's wrong, you are correct. Prefix miss means it's wrong or it's bad. It's not good. Okay. If it's a misfit, then maybe it's a puzzle you're putting together and there's a piece that doesn't fit anywhere and therefore it's a misfit. It's wrong. It doesn't work. If you misspell something, then you did not spell it correctly. So it's wrong. And if you engaged in misconduct, then that's not good. That's something bad. Misconduct means you did not do something right. Okay, so prefix miss, as we just said, means wrong or bad. Okay, and let's take a look at one more. Okay, take a look at these words. See if you can identify what our prefix in each of those words might be. If you identify that they all contained RE, you are correct. So this is relating to prefix re. Okay. Again, back to prefixes that leave words behind. Pull away re, you're left with call. Pull away re, you're left with fresh. Pull away re, you're left with use. Okay, and that leads us to the meaning of re. Take a guess. What do you think prefix re means? Pause it here. Talk to somebody about that. See if you can figure out what prefix re means in each of these words. Okay, if you guessed that prefix re means again, you're correct. Okay, if you recall someone, you called them again. Or if you recall information from text, then you are rethinking about what was in the text. You're doing it again. If you refresh, okay, if you refresh your drink, then you are getting a drink again. You're making it new, you're making it fresh. If you reuse something, then you're using it again. So prefix re means again. Okay, so this lesson covered several different prefixes. Remember, the numerical prefixes don't have words left behind. So those can be a little tricky, but it's important for you to know those and recognize those. Okay, and then re and miss leave words behind, and so those are a little bit easier to work with. Let me know if you have any questions about those.